All right, let's talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Big bounce back victory, of course, last week over Missouri. Dominant, old school, 34-0 drubbing. Love to see that from the Tide. Now it looks like they're recuperating, second off week of the season, getting ready for a big night game against LSU weekend after next, excuse me. And it looks like there's a young playmaker that may be rising up with a great opportunity that Alabama coaches are excited about. I think it's good news for the Tide. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, so this Alabama program, obviously 2 losses at this point in the season, not what people want to see, even with the bounce back victory over Missouri. But this is a chance where you get to see the makeup of your team, specifically some of the young guys. And it looks like there's one young guy in particular that is going to get a lot more playing time, chance to emerge as a future star, I think, maybe current star for the Crimson Tide. Let's pull up this report courtesy of Athlon Sports. The Alabama Crimson Tide are currently in the middle of their second off week of the season, which gives some time for experimentation. During Alabama's 34-0 win over Missouri on Saturday, the Crimson Tide were able to get some youngsters into the game, one of which happened to be five-star freshman and quarterback Zay Mincy. He had seen some time on special teams throughout the season, but saw 13 snaps on defense in the win as well. It marked just the second time all year he played double-digit snaps on defense, as according to PFF, he played 19 in the Week 1 victory over Western Kentucky. However, it did mark the first time that the corner out of Daytona Beach, Florida, lined up at safety. Now, that's interesting. Something that safeties coach Colin Hitchler revealed to Charlie Potter of On3 could continue to happen for Mincy due to the injury issues at the position. I tell you what, that's an interesting move. I love the idea personally. You have a five-star playmaker, really talented kid. It's hard to get him on the field at corner, but if he's a good football player, good athlete, try him at safety to help out the Tide there at a position of need. I think it's a smart move for the coaching staff. Hopefully, Mincy will get more playing time, and we'll see him at one of the safety slots going forward. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, Bama fans, in the comment section below. Obviously, at this point, you were hoping for a little bit better record, but reality is what reality is. Still, give us your MVP of the season up to this point. Is it Milroe, even with the ups and downs? Is it somebody else? Obviously, the freshman Williams has been an absolute superstar and will be for years to come. Give us your MVP for the Alabama Crimson Tide up to this point in the season and put it in the comment section. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest news out of Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a really smart move for the Alabama Crimson Tide, especially because they've done it a couple of times this year. I think we saw the introduction of Jalen Mbakwe as a freshman. We've seen Zabian Brown as a freshman. Both young guys get in here, do a lot of really good stuff really early on as young players. If they see some promise in Mincy, if they're saying, hey, this is a guy we need to move around and get him on the field, I'm all for it because corner safety, I mean, is probably very similar. I think you'd be a little bit more free as a safety, a little bit less loose assignment wise. But I think as safety for Mincy, I think this could be something that would really help Alabama turn around some. As you said, there's been some shakiness at time. We really saw a spark against, especially in the defensive side of the ball against Missouri, able to shut them out. But I think this is a team who they find something. Don't rest on your laurels. Don't sit on your hands. Be innovative, as the article said in the beginning. Experiment a little. Try to get some guys out there. And if you saw a little bit of success with a guy like Zay Mincy at safety, keep him out there. Let's see what happens. Because, like you said, this is a 5-star recruit. This is a big time playmaker. Be able to get him on the field. I think if he's doing some good stuff for you, it doesn't matter where you get him on the field at. I think just having him on the field is going to be a net positive for this team going forward. So I like the creativeness. I like Alabama not being like, well, kind of, we want to make sure that we win all these games. We're a little tight right now. Things have been a little bit up and down this season. Let's stick to our guns and see how things happen. No, they're saying, hey, it hasn't been exactly what we wanted. Let's do something weird. Let's get out there and switch things up. Let's try to get funky on the defensive side of the ball. And I love that from them. It shows that they're willing to change, willing to grow. I think that's going to be really big for this team going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. And even after the shutout victory, if you look at where Alabama ranks defensively in the SEC in terms of points per game, again, this is with the shutout. They are currently ranked, seventh in terms of points per game they're giving up in the SEC, behind in order Ole Miss, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Missouri, Texas A&M, and then, of course, Alabama. That's not where you want to be defensively, obviously. And that's after a shutout, giving up 0 points. That'll certainly help out the average. Being at seventh after a shutout means you got some problems. It means you have to make changes. I love the fact of a team that says, listen, we've got a talented guy. We've got a 5-star recruit, big time recruit. Let's get him on the football field. Because here's the thing you guys got to understand. I played small time college football, Division One AAFCS, nothing like SEC, of course. But I think it's a similar strategy because you live under the same rules. Division One rules are Division One rules wherever, regardless of whether you play. There ain't a lot of practice time, right? You don't get a lot of reps. You don't get a lot of live contact. If you're not a member of the two deep week one of the regular season, you're not getting a lot of reps in team. You may be doing some scout team stuff. You may be doing some individual drill stuff, but you're not heavily involved, right? And sometimes with some of these young athletes, they kind of get lost by the wayside, right? Especially as a freshman or a sophomore, you go through training camp, you get a lot of good reps, you feel like you're coming along. Then the season starts and you get into game plan mode and you're kind of just left off to the side. And you may be a talented player, you may be improving, you're just not getting the chances. And I think what happens with some programs, they get a little complacent. They sit there and say, look, this is our 2 deep, this is our starter, whatever it may be. We got to figure out how to make it work with these guys. If you've got quality athletes, if you've got top flight recruits, experiment. Like it said in the article, I think that's a great point there. Say, listen, we've got a great athlete. Let's put him at safety, did some good things. Let's see what he does during the off week. Let's see what he does the rest of the season, because we clearly have issues on defense we need to solve. They're, frankly, to be totally honest, they're one goal line pick not happening away from having 3 losses right now and blowing that big lead to Georgia. If we're being totally honest, right? They have issues on defense, and I think putting more athletes on the field is always a good solution. You've got freshmen, you've got young guys. Some of the older guys aren't living up to their potential right now. Mix it up a little bit. Worst case scenario, it lights a fire under some of the veterans. Again, they do have some injuries, but I love the fact they're willing to experiment. This is not a staff that's coming into Tuscaloosa thinking they just get to ride the Alabama wave. Clearly, that's not happening. They're willing to take chances, willing to be aggressive. I love to see that from DeBoer and his staff. I think it's a great sign for the future of this program.